You are standing on a rail platform in October 1941, watching steam rise from locomotives loaded with men, horses, and steel. The air is cool but not cold. Not yet. German officers laugh as they pull their coats tighter, joking that the Russian winter is exaggerated folklore, peasant superstition, an excuse used by defeated armies to explain failure. The rule is simple, and everyone believes it. Wars are decided before winter. For decades, German military doctrine insists that climate is a nuisance, not a decisive factor. Campaigns are planned around speed, shock, and annihilation. The enemy collapses long before snow matters. Napoleon failed because he hesitated. Germany will not. You hear senior officers dismiss weather briefings outright. Meteorological warnings are waved away like smoke. Forecasts predicting sub-zero temperatures are labeled pessimistic, cowardly, unscientific. Trucks roll east without antifreeze. Machine guns are issued with standard lubricants that thicken in cold. Soldiers carry summer boots, thin greatcoats, wool gloves designed for drizzle, not death. The belief is institutional, arrogant, total. You are told you will be home by Christmas. By November, the ground begins to harden. Frost creeps into the soil. The first snow falls, not dramatic, just enough to cover the dead grass, enough to make men uneasy. By December, engines stop starting. And by the winter of 1941, one army learns the cost of laughing at the sky. You are Guy Sager, 18 years old, half French, half German. You volunteer not out of ideology, but confusion, loyalty, and the weight of expectation. You are assigned to the Grossdeutschland division, elite on paper, overworked in reality. You are young enough to believe in strength, old enough to feel fear. By the time you reach the Eastern Front, Operation Barbarossa has already shattered its timetable. Soviet Union did not collapse. Moscow still stands. Supply lines stretch over 1,000 kilometers. Fuel arrives late or not at all. Ammunition is rationed. Food is frozen solid before it reaches the front. And now winter is coming, not metaphorical winter, not inconvenience winter, Russian winter. Temperatures fall to minus 20 degrees Celsius, then minus 30, then lower. Wind cuts through fabric like knives. Breath crystallizes in the air. Sweat freezes inside your clothing. Beards turn white within minutes. Eyelashes stick together. Your rifle bolt jams after 2 shots. Your machine gun stops cycling entirely. Men begin to urinate blood from exposure. Fingers turn black. Toes lose feeling, then turn numb, then disappear into pain so intense it feels like fire. Frostbite takes men silently, methodically, without drama. There is no winter camouflage, no heated shelters, no reserve clothing. The supply trucks meant to bring replacements are frozen where they stand, engines cracked, oil turned to sludge. Strategically, everything now depends on holding ground that cannot be fortified. If Moscow holds through winter, the war changes. If the German advance stalls, the illusion of invincibility dies, and you are ordered forward anyway. The temperature drops again overnight. You wake up unable to feel your feet. You stamp them against the frozen earth. Nothing. You slap your hands together until the skin splits. Blood freezes instantly. Someone nearby is crying, not loudly, just quietly, like a child trying not to be heard. Orders come down the line. Advance. You move through knee-deep snow that hides shell holes and bodies alike. Each step is an effort. Your boots are stiff as wood. Socks frozen solid. Every breath burns your lungs. Your nostrils bleed. At 600 meters, Soviet artillery opens fire. The explosions are muffled by snow, but the shockwaves punch through your chest. Shrapnel tears into men already half dead from cold. You drop to the ground, pressing your face into ice because the wind hurts more than the frost. You try to fire. The bolt does not move. You strike it with your palm. Nothing. You pull harder. The metal feels glued together. The lubricant has frozen. You are holding a steel club, not a weapon. Around you, others scream the same realization. Machine guns useless. Mortars misfiring. Radios dead. Batteries drained by cold. The enemy fires freely. You advance anyway because stopping means freezing in place. 100 meters. Your legs shake uncontrollably, not fear but hypothermia. Muscles misfire. Coordination vanishes. You stumble over a frozen corpse, face locked in a scream from weeks earlier. 50 meters. A man to your left collapses without a sound, not shot, just gone. His heart stopped. You reach the tree line and dig with bare hands because entrenching tools are lost. The ground is iron. Fingernails tear away. Blood freezes black. And in that moment you understand something terrifying. The weather is not a backdrop. It is the enemy, and it is winning. Night does not bring rest. It brings arithmetic. You learn to count time in degrees and losses. Minus 32 degrees Celsius. 3 rifles functional out of a platoon of 30. 2 men dead before dawn without a shot fired. You sleep sitting up because lying down means not waking. Men huddle together not for warmth, there is none, but to share the illusion of it. When someone stops shivering, you shake them violently. Shivering means they are still alive. The wind rises, it is not loud, it is constant. A low, grinding pressure that strips heat faster than fear ever could. Canvas cracks, leather snaps. Metal rings like glass when struck. Orders arrive late and make no sense. Hold the line. Advance again at first light. You look at the map issued weeks earlier. Rivers marked as obstacles are now highways of ice. Forests meant to provide cover are bare skeletons that amplify wind. Villages marked as supply points are ash and frozen corpses. The map is lying. Your division attacks again at dawn. You move forward because there is nothing else to do. Retreat is forbidden. Digging in is impossible. Waiting is death. At 300 meters, Soviet fire opens again. Their weapons work. Their lubricants are designed for this cold. Their boots are felt-lined. Their coats are layered. They rotate units. They retreat into heated dugouts and return. You do not. Your machine gun fires 3 rounds and seizes. The barrel contracts in the cold, warping just enough to kill the mechanism. You abandon it and crawl forward with a rifle that fires once every 10 seconds. If you breathe on the bolt between shots to thaw it. Men begin to remove gloves to work triggers. Fingers blacken within minutes. One soldier screams as skin peels away with the metal of his weapon. Another laughs hysterically, teeth chattering so violently you think his jaw will shatter. A lieutenant tries to shout orders, but his lips are cracked open, bleeding into his beard. At 100 meters, artillery stops, not because the enemy pauses, because the guns cannot fire. Firing pins snap. Breech blocks freeze. Ammunition misfires, propellant burning unevenly in the cold. The battlefield goes quiet except for wind and screaming. You reach the objective. There is nothing there. Just snow, trees, and frozen bodies, German and Soviet indistinguishable under ice. By nightfall, half your company is gone, not captured, not wounded, gone. The realization spreads slowly, then all at once. Command does not understand what is happening. Reports describing mass frostbite are rewritten as low morale. Requests for winter equipment are delayed, rerouted, or denied. Meteorological data continues to be ignored. Senior officers insist the cold will break soon. It does not. Temperatures plunge to minus 40. Fuel gels in tanks. Engines crack when started. Horses collapse mid-stride, legs locking before they hit the ground. You begin to see dead animals standing upright, frozen where they fell. Food becomes a rumor. Bread arrives frozen solid. You break it with rifle butts. Meat is eaten raw because cooking fires reveal positions and fuel is gone. Water is melted snow that tastes of smoke and rust. Men begin to disappear at night, not desertion. They walk into the darkness to lie down and sleep because they cannot endure another hour awake. You stop trying to stop them. You are too tired. Then comes the counterattack. You hear it before you see it. Engines, working engines, hundreds of them. Soviet armor moves across frozen ground that German doctrine insisted was impassable in winter. T-34s appear through the snow, diesel engines roaring, wide tracks gripping ice like claws. Your anti-tank guns fire once, then stop. The recoil systems freeze solid, the barrels split. The tanks keep coming, you run, not in panic, in instinct. Behind you, positions vanish. Entire battalions evaporate under steel and cold. Radios crackle once, then die. Command structures collapse not from enemy brilliance, but from environmental reality. You retreat through villages already destroyed, past men without feet, past wagons loaded with frozen bodies stacked like cordwood. By January 1942, the truth is undeniable. The German army is not losing to the Red Army. It is losing to winter. If you find this kind of forgotten military history as fascinating as we do, we'd be honored if you'd hit that subscribe button. We believe these stories of endurance, sacrifice, and human limits deserve to be told. By subscribing, you help us ensure they aren't forgotten. The retreat is worse than the advance. Movement creates wind. Wind kills. You wrap scarves around faces until breathing becomes labored. Frost forms inside your lungs. Every step risks collapse. At night, you sleep in burned-out tanks because the steel blocks wind. Inside, the smell of oil and death never leaves. You dream of warmth, of kitchens, of hands that can feel again. Amputations are performed without anesthesia because morphine freezes. Saws stick to flesh. Men bite leather straps and scream until voices fail. You watch a medic cry as he cuts away a friend's foot. There are no replacements. There is no relief. There is only endurance measured in minutes. By February, you are no longer surprised by death. You are surprised by survival. You stop asking what day it is. Time no longer matters. Only temperature, distance, and whether your heart still beats hard enough to keep blood moving. Minus 38 degrees. That number follows you everywhere. You hear it whispered in dugouts. You see it scratched into frozen truck doors. You feel it every time you try to move fingers that no longer respond. Command finally issues winter orders, but they arrive like echoes from another world. New directives demand counterattacks, hold positions at all costs, regain lost ground. There is nothing left to spend. You are ordered to retake a ridge lost 2 days earlier. The map says it is 400 meters away. In summer, that is a jog. In this cold, it is an expedition. You step off before dawn. The sky is pale gray, the sun a weak disk behind ice fog. Weapons are carried under coats to keep bolts warm. Grenades are tucked against skin. Anything metal touches flesh only once. After that, the skin comes away with it. At 300 meters, your legs begin to shake again. Not fatigue, exposure. Your body is burning calories faster than you can replace them. You have eaten nothing warm in 3 days. At 200 meters, a man drops to his knees and does not rise. You pull him. His body is rigid, already gone. At 150 meters, Soviet machine guns open fire. Their rate of fire is steady, controlled, confident. Yours answers in scattered clicks and single shots. One weapon fires continuously, then its barrel droops, metal warped by uneven heat as the operator breathes on it between bursts. You reach the ridge. The enemy is already gone. They know something you are only beginning to understand. Winter is a weapon, and it belongs to whoever prepared for it. Far behind the line in heated headquarters, arguments finally begin. Reports pile up. Numbers become impossible to ignore. Over 100,000 frostbite casualties by January. Entire divisions combat ineffective without major engagements. More men evacuated for cold injury than for wounds. Vehicles are written off by the thousands, not destroyed, abandoned. Engines cracked, gearboxes shattered, rubber seals disintegrated, oil solidified. Artillery crews report losing guns without enemy contact. Staff officers begin to whisper the unthinkable. The campaign has failed. But that word never appears in orders. Instead, blame is reassigned. Units accused of cowardice. Officers replaced. Threats issued. Executions carried out for retreat without orders, when retreat was the only way to avoid freezing in place. You see a field court-martial conducted in the snow. The condemned man's tears freeze on his cheeks before the sentence is finished. The shot echoes briefly. Then the wind takes it. February brings no mercy. Snowstorms erase roads entirely. Columns vanish overnight. A supply convoy leaves at dusk. By morning, it is a line of white mounds, trucks buried to the cab, drivers frozen at the wheel. You learn to recognize death by posture. Men slumped forward, heart failure. Men curled tightly, hypothermia. Men sprawled with hands outstretched, frostbite delirium. You stop counting bodies. You count those still moving. Then comes the order that changes everything. Withdraw, not tactically, not temporarily. Withdraw west. It is not announced as retreat. It is phrased as shortening the line. But everyone understands. The great advance has ended in ice and silence. The march back is chaos. Roads are clogged with men, horses, vehicles, refugees. Soviet aircraft strafe columns that cannot disperse because snowdrifts block every field. Explosions throw frozen earth and limbs alike into the air. You move at night to avoid planes. At night, the temperature drops another 10 degrees. Men fall asleep standing. You drag one friend for nearly a kilometer before realizing his weight never shifts. His eyes are open. Ice rims his lashes. He died while you pulled him. You let go. You keep walking. By March, the cold finally loosens its grip. Temperatures rise just enough to thaw the surface. Snow turns to mud. Vehicles sink axle deep. Corpses reappear, half submerged, faces emerging like accusations. The ground itself seems to reject you. By the time spring arrives, the German army on the Eastern Front is unrecognizable. The myth of invincibility is gone. The casualty lists are staggering, not from battles lost, but from seasons ignored. Winter has accomplished what no enemy offensive could alone. It has broken momentum, shattered logistics, and exposed arrogance as a fatal flaw. And you, Guy Sager, are still alive. Barely. You no longer believe in rules, only consequences. The thaw does not bring relief. It brings clarity. What you survived is no longer deniable. Not even to the men who laughed at forecasts and dismissed charts. The Eastern Front has changed the war, not with a single battle, but with a season. What German command did not understand until it was too late was that winter did not merely slow operations. It rewrote them. By April 1942, the numbers are unavoidable. More than 500,000 Axis casualties since December. Over 130,000 frostbite cases, many resulting in permanent disability. Tens of thousands of vehicles abandoned without enemy contact. Entire formations rendered combat ineffective before spring offensives could even begin. The Red Army learns from this faster than its enemy ever could. Soviet doctrine now integrates climate as a force multiplier. Winter uniforms are standardized, lubricants reformulated, engines insulated, troops trained to operate in whiteout conditions. Entire offensive plans are built around seasonal advantage. German planners do the opposite. They treat winter as an aberration, a fluke. Something that will not happen again if the campaign is faster next time. But winter always comes back. When the Axis pushes south toward the Caucasus later that year, the same assumptions return. Weather briefings are again ignored. Logistics again overstretched. Cold weather preparation again postponed in favor of speed. And when the encirclement at Stalingrad tightens, winter closes in once more, this time with no retreat possible. What the generals still do not fully grasp is this. The first winter did not just cost men and machines. It cost Germany the initiative. From 1942 onward, every major German operation is reactive. Every offensive constrained by fuel, manpower, and time. The enemy now chooses when and where to fight, and which seasons to exploit. The Allies take note as well. British and American planners study the collapse with ruthless attention. Arctic clothing programs are expanded. Winterization becomes doctrine, not afterthought. In Italy, Normandy, the Ardennes, weather is treated as a strategic variable, not an inconvenience. The Axis, meanwhile, never fully recovers. The war becomes longer, bloodier, less predictable, all because someone once laughed at the cold. You are Guy Sager, and the war does not end for you in victory or glory. It ends in survival. You live through later campaigns. You carry the damage with you, nerve pain, frostbitten extremities, memories that do not thaw with time. When the war is over, you are still young by years, but old in ways that never fade. You write later not to explain strategy, but sensation. The cold, the hunger, the way men vanished without a sound. You remember names, ages, faces frozen in expressions they never meant to keep. Many of the men you marched with have no graves. Snow erased them. Mud reclaimed them. Records failed them. To this day, winter warfare manuals cite statistics and lessons without mentioning the teenagers who paid for them with fingers, feet, and lives. And that is why this story matters now. Because modern armies still operate in extreme climates. Because technology still fails when assumptions replace preparation. Because arrogance toward nature has never stopped being lethal. And because remembrance is the last duty owed to those who endured what could have been prevented. If this story moved you, please hit that like button. Every click tells the algorithm this piece of history is worth remembering. We're dedicated to rescuing these forgotten stories from the archives. If you want to join us on this mission, please subscribe and turn on notifications. Where are you watching from? Drop a comment with your city or state and tell us if someone in your family served. Thank you for ensuring that Guy Sager and the tens of thousands who froze on the Eastern Front do not disappear into silence. They deserve to be remembered.